The black van rolls slowly through darkened streets. It stops. Men in uniform step out. They approach a small house. The knock came at night. It always came at night. For millions across Eastern Europe, that sound meant someone was about to disappear. As one Ukrainian woman wrote, "At night they come for us." The knock at the door means another family is gone. We do not sleep. We wait and pray that tonight they will pass us by. But for up to 1 million people accused of Nazi collaboration, the Soviet state would not pass them by. What appears at first glance as justice for wartime betrayal reveals itself as something far more calculated and sinister when we look beneath the surface. This is the story of how Stalin turned liberation into subjugation and punishment into power. The bodies piled high across Soviet lands. Villages burned to ash. Families torn apart. The Nazi invasion left over 27 million Soviet citizens dead. When German troops stormed into Soviet territory in 1941, they created impossible choices for those left behind. Some joined the Nazis willingly. Some helped them to feed their children. Others fought back from the shadows. Each person made their own bargain with a terrible situation. But Stalin saw these choices differently. He viewed anyone who lived under Nazi rule as tainted. He especially distrusted people in the Baltic states, Ukraine, and other border regions. These places had only recently become part of the Soviet Union. Many there had resisted Soviet control before the war. These territories are infected with fascist thinking, Stalin told his security chief Lavrenti Beria in 1943. They must be cleansed. Even as battles still raged, Stalin prepared for what would come after. He ordered special NKVD units, his secret police, to get ready for massive cleansing operations. These would target not just those who helped the Nazis, but anyone who might resist Soviet control. Stalin personally gave orders that collaboration should include almost everyone. Did you stay in your hometown during German occupation? You might be a collaborator. Did you keep your job at the post office? You might be a collaborator. Did you sell milk to feed your family? You might be a collaborator. By 1944, Soviet armies pushed westward. They drove the Germans back. Towns and cities came back under Soviet control. But for millions, this wasn't freedom. It was the beginning of a new nightmare. Stalin had transformed what could have been a moment of healing into something else entirely. He saw recapturing territory as a chance to tighten his grip on power. He ordered Beria to prepare for mass arrests, deportations, and executions against enemies of the state. The machinery for this campaign was already being built. It would soon sweep across Eastern Europe like a dark tide. 3 powerful organizations led Stalin's purges. The NKVD, secret police, handled most arrests. SMERSH, military counterintelligence, hunted spies and traitors. Soviet military tribunals delivered quick judgments. These weren't random arrests. They were carefully planned. Each region had quotas, specific numbers of people to arrest or deport. Officials who failed to meet these targets faced punishment themselves. We need to remove 3,000 anti-Soviet elements from the Vilnius region by month's end, read one NKVD order from 1945. Local chiefs scrambled to find enough enemies to meet their numbers. Special camps were built to sort the arrested. These filtration camps processed hundreds of thousands of suspects. People entered these camps as citizens. They left as prisoners, or didn't leave at all. The black prison vans that carried people away became symbols of terror. People called them black ravens. When one appeared on your street, someone would disappear. The scale was massive. Tens of thousands of NKVD troops were assigned to security operations. In Ukraine alone, up to 30,000 operatives. Hundreds of prison trains moved people eastward. Gulag camps expanded to hold the flood of new prisoners. Viktor Abakumov, the head of SMERSH, personally supervised the hunt for traitors. His team spread through recaptured territories with lists of names and powers to arrest anyone suspicious. Regional NKVD chiefs competed to exceed their arrest quotas. Those who arrested more enemies received promotions and medals. This created a deadly race to find more and more traitors. Between 1944 and 1946, this machinery processed between 500,000 and 1 million people across the Western USSR. In the Baltic states alone, 60,000 to 80,000 people were deported. One Lithuanian survivor later testified, "The system wasn't looking for justice. It was looking for bodies to fill trains." But to understand the true nature of these purges, we must look beyond the cold machinery to see how it destroyed the lives of ordinary people caught in its gears. Who were the people swept up in Stalin's purges? Some had truly helped the Nazis commit terrible crimes, but many more were ordinary people who had simply tried to survive. High-level officials who worked directly with German forces faced show trials and execution, but they were a small minority. Most of the accused were regular citizens caught in a wide net. Police auxiliaries who had joined local forces under German rule were prime targets. So were administrative staff who kept basic government functions running during occupation. Teachers who continued working in schools. Journalists who wrote for any publication. Farmers who sold food to Germans or local authorities. Entire groups were punished collectively. Crimean Tatars were deported en masse, accused of collaboration as a people. Chechens faced the same fate. In the Baltic states, anyone connected to pre-Soviet governments was targeted. Many arrests came from a single accusation. Neighbors reported neighbors, often to settle old scores or gain something for themselves. A sentiment reflecting Stalinist principles guided operations. Better to punish 10 innocents than let one traitor go free. This wasn't a mistake in the system. It was the system working as designed. The story of one Lithuanian schoolteacher shows how arbitrary these arrests could be. She was taken from her classroom and accused of fascist propaganda. Her crime? She had kept teaching during the German occupation. Her accuser was a neighbor who wanted her apartment. After a 10-minute trial, she was sentenced to 10 years in a labor camp. Her 3 children never saw her again. "My father was taken because he had worked as a postman under the Germans," recalled another Lithuanian survivor. "They said he was a collaborator. He never came back. My mother was left with 5 children and a life of shame." The NKVD didn't need much evidence. Sometimes a German-sounding name was enough. Sometimes wearing clothes that looked too good for a Soviet citizen could trigger suspicion. A Ukrainian police report shows how thin these accusations could be. Subject spoke to German soldier on 3 occasions in 1942. Nature of conversations unknown. Recommend arrest and investigation. For those arrested, what came next was a journey into a world of fear, pain, and often death. The men who carried out Stalin's purges faced their own terrible pressures. NKVD officers had strict arrest quotas to meet. Those who failed faced punishment themselves. "I was ordered to arrest 50 collaborators from my district by the end of the week," one former NKVD officer later admitted. "I had files on maybe 20 who might actually be guilty. For the rest, we simply created evidence." Interrogators used brutal methods to get confessions. Sleep deprivation broke some prisoners. Beatings broke others. Threats against family members. "Confess or we'll arrest your wife next," broke even the strongest. Many NKVD men had seen the horrors of Nazi occupation firsthand. Some had lost families to German bullets or starvation. Their desire for vengeance was real and raw. "I had found my sister's body in a mass grave," one NKVD interrogator recalled years later. "After that, it was easy to believe anyone might be guilty." But not all enforcers were comfortable with their work. Some tried to show small mercies, warning families before arrests, reducing charges, or looking the other way when evidence was thin. These acts of humanity came with great risk. Officers suspected of softness toward enemies could find themselves arrested. The system demanded total obedience. The psychological toll on these men was enormous. Alcoholism spread through NKVD ranks. Suicide rates climbed. Some suffered breakdowns. One NKVD captain from Belarus provides a haunting example. Under pressure to meet his quota, he fabricated evidence against 12 villagers. All were sent to labor camps. None returned. Years later, he encountered the orphan children of those he had condemned. The meeting broke him. He began drinking heavily and eventually shot himself. "Sometimes we knew the man was innocent," another former NKVD officer later confessed, "but the order was clear." A sentiment reflecting Stalinist principles was that it was better to punish 10 innocents than let one traitor go free. We told ourselves it was for the greater good. The machinery of terror operated with brutal efficiency, but its foundations rested on myths and distortions that hid its true purpose and devastating impact. The Soviet government told its people and the world that the purges targeted only those who actively helped the Nazis. This was a lie. In reality, the definition of collaboration was so broad it could include almost anyone. Did you stay in your hometown during German occupation instead of fleeing? That could be enough. Did you have any contact with Germans, even selling them food to survive? You might be guilty. The Soviet story claimed trials were fair legal proceedings with evidence and proper procedures. The truth was far different. Most trials lasted only minutes. A typical military tribunal could process dozens of cases per day. Defendants rarely had lawyers. Many never even appeared in court. Outcomes were decided before trials began. The judge asked my name, read the charge, and announced my sentence. 10 years, recalled one survivor. The entire proceeding took less than 5 minutes. Soviet authorities claimed they had solid intelligence on who had collaborated. In fact, they relied heavily on informants whose information was often unreliable or motivated by personal gain. Informant networks were quickly established in liberated areas, which included both pre-war communist sympathizers and individuals seeking favor with new authorities. This created an environment where denunciations could be used. The most shocking revelation comes from Baltic archives opened after Soviet collapse. In one Lithuanian province, NKVD records show that over 60% of those executed for active collaboration had no evidence against them beyond a single denunciation, often from someone who benefited from their removal. A woman who gained her neighbor's apartment. A man who wanted his colleague's job. A rival who settled an old score. These accusations could send people to their deaths. The purges weren't surgical strikes against Nazi helpers. They were a broad assault on anyone who might challenge Soviet control. As one internal NKVD document from 1945 stated, "The primary goal is not merely to punish traitors, but to ensure complete submission of the local population to Soviet authority." This terrible reality created wounds that would echo through generations, reshaping societies and sowing seeds of resentment that would eventually help bring down the very empire Stalin sought to strengthen. The human toll of Stalin's purges went far beyond those arrested. Entire communities were shattered. Villages emptied. Family lines ended. When fathers disappeared, mothers struggled to feed children alone. When both parents were taken, children went to state orphanages where they were given new names and taught to forget their families. They told me my parents were enemies, recalled one survivor who was 8 when his parents were arrested. They made me stand in front of the class and denounce them. I did it because I was hungry and afraid. Children of enemies faced discrimination for decades. They couldn't attend good schools. Many jobs were closed to them. They lived with the stigma of their family's shame. Those deported to remote regions faced brutal conditions. Siberian winters killed the weak. Kazakhstan's deserts claimed others. In some groups, more than 25% died in the first year of exile. Women and children made up a large percentage of those punished. The concept of family guilt meant that wives, parents, siblings, and even young children of accused collaborators faced punishment too. One Ukrainian family shows the devastating impact. When the father was arrested for economic collaboration, he had repaired German vehicles as a mechanic. His wife and 3 children were deported to Kazakhstan as family members of a traitor. The oldest child died during the journey. The mother and youngest child died in the first winter of exile. Only one daughter survived to return home 15 years later. The purges specifically targeted cultural leaders, writers, teachers, religious figures, and community elders. This was no accident. By removing these people, Soviet authorities destroyed the cultural backbone of resistant communities. In some Baltic villages, up to 10% of the population was deported. Certain ethnic minorities lost 15 to 20% of their people to deportation or execution. Our village had 400 people before the purges, recalled one Estonian survivor. After the Black Ravens came 3 times, only old women and young children remained. The heart of our community was gone. These wounds would not heal with time. Instead, they festered beneath the surface of Soviet society, creating lasting divisions that continue to shape politics and memory in the region today. The purges created deep anger in affected regions. This resentment didn't fade. It grew stronger over generations. In the Baltic states and Western Ukraine, stories of the purges became central to national identity. Grandparents told grandchildren about the night the Black Ravens came. These stories kept resistance alive even during the darkest Soviet years. Different communities remember this history in sharply different ways. In Russia today, official history largely defends the purges as necessary justice against traitors. But in countries like Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, the same events are remembered as crimes against humanity. After the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, newly opened archives revealed the true scale and arbitrary nature of the purges. Documents showed arrest quotas, fabricated evidence, and forced confessions. The system wasn't pursuing justice, it was crushing resistance. These revelations fueled powerful national movements. In Lithuania, the discovery of mass graves of purge victims led to nationwide commemorations. Similar sites in Ukraine became symbols of resistance to Russian influence. My father was taken because he had worked as a postman under the Germans, testified one Lithuanian woman at a 1992 Truth Commission. They said he was a collaborator. He never came back. Today, I want his name cleared and his story told. The memory of Soviet purges directly shaped post-Soviet politics. Regions that suffered most heavily from the purges became the most strongly anti-Russian after independence. In Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, museums now document both Nazi crimes and Soviet retribution. They reject the Soviet claim that the purges were justified punishment. Instead, they present them as a second occupation following the Nazi one. Even today, Russian and Baltic historians argue fiercely about these events. Was it justice or terror? Necessary punishment or political repression? These aren't just academic debates. They reflect deep divisions about the present and future. As one Baltic historian noted, How we remember the purges shapes how we understand Russia today. Was it a liberator that sometimes went too far? Or an occupier that replaced one terror with another? The Soviet purges remind us that in the aftermath of war, how a society defines justice reveals not just its values, but who truly holds power, and what they intend to do with it. What began as liberation from Nazi occupation quickly transformed into something else. A calculated campaign of terror designed to crush dissent and cement Soviet control. The machinery of Stalin's purges, the NKVD, SMERSH, the tribunals, the prison trains, wasn't built primarily to deliver justice. It was built to deliver fear and compliance. The scale tells the story. Between 500,000 and 1 million people arrested, tens of thousands executed, hundreds of thousands sent to remote labor camps, entire ethnic groups punished collectively. The arbitrary nature of the accusations reveals the true purpose. Quotas mattered more than evidence. Denunciations often came from those seeking personal gain. The principle that it was better to punish 10 innocents than let one traitor go free wasn't a flaw in the system. It was the system working as designed. Stalin's primary concern wasn't punishing actual collaboration. It was crushing any potential resistance and establishing absolute control over territories he viewed with deep suspicion. The legacy of these purges continues to shape Eastern Europe today. The wounds created by the Black Ravens and Midnight Knocks haven't healed. They've become part of national identities, political divisions, and ongoing debates about history and justice. When a Ukrainian woman wrote, "At night they come for us," the knock at the door means another family's gone. We do not sleep. We wait and pray that tonight they will pass us by. She captured not just the terror of a moment, but the essence of a system where justice became indistinguishable from power, where liberation became subjugation, and where the line between victim and perpetrator was drawn not by actions but by political necessity. The Soviet purges remind us that in the aftermath of war, how a society defines justice reveals not just its values, but who truly holds power, and what they intend to do with it. Which aspect of this history surprised you most? The scale of the purges, the arbitrary nature of accusations, or the continuing impact on modern politics? And what other hidden histories of the post-war period do you think deserve more attention? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, hit subscribe for more fascinating World War II historical deep dives every week. Thanks for watching.